Hello and welcome back to the Singamont Review Power Round, because we've got approximately 9 minutes of tape left, so we're going to have to do this one snappy. What have we got, Dave?
Well, we're into whiskey adjacent territory once more. We're back on the sunny shores of California. This for the Napa Valley prime wine growing region. In this case, it is Brandy. We have Christian Brothers American Brandy.
Yes,
this
indeed.
is a Napa Valley brandy, which is matured in exclusively ex-bourbon barrels. So,
News to me, because
whiskey.
I didn't know they made brandy of any kind in the States, but I guess they do. I mean, they're nothing but tripping over grapes in Napa when they're not on fire, so...
Christian Brothers is very available. Like, years before we started doing this show, I recall I fancied trying some brandy, and I did pick up a bottle of Christian Brothers from a bottle store. I found it sweet and engaging and enjoyable. I had no deeper scholarly insights because, well, I lacked the framework for that.
Indeed.
Now
And if my very brief internet sleuthing is to be warranted, then it comes out of their own distillery. They're some sort of Napa mega winery, may have a sort of churning way out back, and if they're to be believed, comes out of copper pot stills. So made the right way, the traditional way, out of potentially non-traditional grapes, but brandy's not too specific. Certainly looks nice, but who knows what sort of colouring we're dealing with.
It's somewhere between 2 and 6 years of barrel aging, which would add a bit of colour to anything, especially off a first fill bourbon barrel.
So, on the nose. Smells like brandy, so that's the first
Oh, it
tick.
smells like brandy, but there's a lot of bourbon happening there too.
Yeah, there's
It's a good mix of the two, honestly. Yeah,
it's a slightly more wooden brandy than not, but it's definitely brandy.
Yeah, we've looked at brandy a couple of times on the channel, but not to any particular excessive depth or anything. I would in no way consider myself any kind of brandy specialist. If I try something and I like it, then that's what I can say. But
brandy it's really quite harsh. People think of brandy as fine. People swishing around globes of brandy on some sort of costume drama, but it's a pretty raw beverage, and how it's normally made as well, because it's usually quite young. It's it's grape distillate, so none of that warmth, none of that roundness from malts. It's pretty primal stuff in its normal form. So I don't know. And on the nose, there's almost like a metallic tang on this one, which is interesting.
I'm getting a lot of the bourbon, oak, and vanilla characters.
Yeah, I think vanilla. There's raisin here, like a bourbon rinsed raisin almost. Yeah, no, I mean, but not in any way unpleasant. So see.
It's like an extremely sweet bourbon. There's a touch of brandy flavour there. Then there's a whole lot of raisiny sweetness, and then it is bourbon through and through. Those casks have added so much here.
I'm falling out in love with this one.
I know.
Okay, this gets a half tick, and it tastes half like brandy, and that's where it starts to diverge. It's quite typically brandy on the nose, but that tastes weird. There's
It is a great illustration, though, of cask influence in action.
Yeah. It initially tastes quite smooth, but then there's this sort of back of the throat savagery that starts up right on the finish, and then goes for a disturbingly long time.
40% ABV is quite gentle, so it's not. I don't find it a huge burn. It's less so than on a comparable bourbon, I find.
There's a peculiar heat. I don't know. There's just a suspicious element on this one. Not sure. But, drinkable, absolutely. I think it's probably a bit warm.
Maybe.
I mean, the aircon's there blasting away, fighting the temperature on this hot summer's day. It's losing at this point. But so, were we drinking this in a really good element, it would be chilled. But yeah, this is interesting. I'll give it that.
It is abundant and eminently affordable as well. Like, my wife asked me to include some brandy in my latest order from our specialist supplier. And so she obviously knows it and enjoys it more than I do. She rated this one as a good sweet bourbon, rather than as a good brandy.
I still wouldn't do it the disservice of calling it tasting like bourbon, but you can certainly see the lineage, I guess, in the casks that were being used. It's interesting. I mean, given that before we settled here, I didn't even know they made brandy in the States. I guess it was never going to be what I was expecting necessarily, but it's it's just there's a weirdness. There's a weirdness to it which makes me.
I like it. If I wanted a brandy hit, a fix, as it were, I wouldn't go for this. But then it is its own thing. It is very much, it's brandy in that it's distilled grape, distilled wine. It is very purely American, but exclusively uses ex-bourbon barrels, something we normally only find in whiskey maturation. So, great, it does something different, it does something new, and it has its own particular twist on all those flavours.
So I think we won't score it, because we're not in the business of scoring brandies. It wouldn't be, the number wouldn't be worth a great deal, but it is interesting, and American brandy, who knew?
It is fun, it's different, it is also extremely affordable, at least in our part of the world, so... Heck, what
it's weird stuff. It's weird stuff. How far do you think we're into the 9 minutes, Dave? We don't actually have a timer. This is extra. The danger level is real high here because the first we're going to know that we've run the clock is it's just going to stop recording. So maybe we'll bow out gracefully while we have the tape and say Slandra on that one, or Yeehaw, or whatever they say in California. By the Christian brothers. Although I must say, reading the website, the Christian brother of note, Brother Timothy. So there you go. Some little bit of lineage in there, just for me.
New conspiracy. Tim is a traveling distiller.
Yeah. I'm just here to make weird American spirits, and then forget I made them. That'll keep me interested somehow. All right, Slandra, we'll be back with something conceivably a bit more conventional next time, but you never know here at the Single Malt Review. So peace out on this one, and we will be right back very, very shortly. Stick around.